and welcome to episode 15 of Australian MMA Insiders podcast. With me as always is Charles Bronson, and joining us tonight is the King of Perth, Della. Josh, thanks for joining us.
What's up? Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Cam. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Kids in bed?
Kids are all tucked up asleep. I've done bedtime and I'm now able to talk to you two chappies.
How lucky are you? Just before
Look at you, man.
I've had to move all my stuff around. I had a cubby house and a truck that I had to move off. Get good background happening.
How's the dad life?
Can't beat a bit of soccer.
Dad life. Dad life's good. I'm loving dad life. It's tough. It has its days, but it is good. I love it. The kids are great. Like, my boy's now cruising around annoying his sister, which is cool. I love that.
Your sister, his sister's pretty cute. Bobby and Alira get on like besties.
Yeah, Alira misses Bobby. Alira tells me every day that she misses Bobby.
Oh.
She really has a bit of a crush on Bob, which is cool.
We'll have to sort that out in the not too distant future. What's going on training-wise with you at the moment? You still getting itchy knuckles, or?
Yeah, it's still cracking away. Like, I wish I could train more. It's hard, like the whole dad thing. Like, I wish I could train every day like I did and did for so many years. But it's hard now, like having other things that I've, like, other responsibilities, and I can't be the selfish guy, like, and just try and, just getting into fights and that. But I try and crack away when I can.
Yeah, and you were in the gym tonight. Anything exciting happen, or was it just another night at the office?
Just another night. Like, Wednesday night's my night where I'm there. Like, I'm there from early afternoons. I take a couple PTs that I've been taking for a while. So I take these boys and then we train up. Well, we do sparring Mondays, Wednesdays. So had the boys moving around. It was good. Get the boys working.
Yeah, no shit. Hard taskmaster, old Josh. Cam, I'm telling you.
I think I've learned from Ben. I'm a bit of a. They call me the CUNT sometimes. So
you've been called worse, mate. You've been called worse.
Good CUNT, or is it just? So is that a couple of boys you've got coming through from Della Brothers MMA?
Yeah, like I've got a couple guys that have been pretty consistent. Like, I've got guys that sort of drop in here and there. Like, I don't like pushing it on anyone. Like, if they want to do it, they have to fucking, ask me and really, like, push for it. And then I've got, like, a couple guys that have been doing really well, being really consistent. Like, I think we're putting one of the guys that I've been with, like, from a beginner, he's having, like, a little amateur scrap in the next, like, 5 or so weeks. So it's like, that's pretty cool. Like, I love that. Like, some guy that's, like, sort of trained from start with me, and now he gets to have, like, a little amateur scrap with someone that's at the same sort of level as him. That, like, this other guy that he's fighting had a bit of a rough gig at the last sort of amateur show that he did. Oh, yeah. So he gets to have a proper little scrap with a guy that, is the same sort of level as him. So it's exciting for both of these guys.
So he was overlapped, first fight, and just had a bad experience.
Yeah, like this, I don't know, it was just like a bad match. Like, he was doing like one of these programs that you start from zero to hero sort of thing. So you start, Wimp to Warrior program. So you start, it's a 20-week program, and they come in every morning, Monday to Friday, and then they go from nothing to having an amateur MMA fight. And how it worked out, there was just an odd number, and he was the guy that was always there, always working, worked hard. And like, we were
he stitched him up and gave him a really hard fight.
He got stitched up. He did get stitched up, and he took it pretty, like, I don't know. I saw this other guy warming up, and I was like, he was smashing pads, and just, I was like, oh no, like, Jared's in trouble.
It's the guy, Josh, sorry to interrupt, it's the guy that fought Jesse on Eternal, Carl Broad.
Oh, yeah.
That's who we put Jared against.
Jesse, a guy from our gym, and Jesse's sick. Like, he mucks around with all the best of the crew at the gym.
Yeah.
And like, this Carl Braun guy, like, is pretty much beat up Jesse for 3 rounds. So I don't know what we thought Jared was going to do. Dude.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, we didn't really know.
But like,
that's the thing.
but the thing was, he's like a ballsy character, this Jared guy, and like he backs himself. So it's exciting that he gets to fight someone that's like his same sort of caliber, you know, like, and has to get to have a fun fight instead of just being fed to the sharks.
Jared actually got Kimura'd in his fight, or Americana, sorry, in his fight, and his shoulder popped out, but he didn't tell anyone. And he came back to the corner and he was sort of carrying his shoulder like this. And then I think Ryan was like, I don't think your shoulder's good, mate. And the doctor came in and said, yeah, that's dislocated. He was just going to go out for the next round.
Yeah, he's tough little Asian dude. Like
you can see why we were willing to throw him in.
Put him in, yeah.
He was fine to have a fight.
I didn't actually see his fight, but I saw him come back down, 2 black guys in a sling, and I was like, "Fuck, how'd you go?" And he's like, "Oh, it's all right." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, you don't get a lot out of Jared, but
you don't get a lot out of him. It's good though. Tough boy.
Tough kid.
You doing work with Jack?
Sorry?
Are you doing work at home with Jack? Are you and Jack still bashing each other?
Yeah, like we do, which is hard. Like at the moment, it was good when we were both living. We both like when it was all when that COVID all went down. We locked down at like the parents' place, and we had a gym there. So that was a good time. Like we were able to train like, you know, almost every day and get solid training in. So everyone else was sort of missing out, but we were in the best spot that we could be really for our training. But then like lately it's just been tough, like with all my shit that's like all the kids and all whatnot. But I'm trying to like, what we're doing now is what I can rock to the gym. Like once the kids are asleep, I can get down to the gym and put in some rounds.
Yeah.
It's just hard. Like I feel terrible like in the afternoons leaving when Bridget's got 2 kids crawling up and down her. And I'm like, all right, you know, I want to go and it's my enjoyment as much as it's like, it was like, you know, so it's tough.
Once the fight camp for Jack for his next fight starts, we'll schedule the sparring so that
we scheduling a bit better
for everyone.
Yeah.
Josh, that's the good thing about our gym is that when it comes to fight time and the boys need sparring partners, whether people have been consistent or not up until that point, people come in and put the hard yards in for the guys that are fighting. So we have that.
It's really important people do that because they're going to expect it themselves and it's their turn as well. So
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about your fighting career. Like I personally sat the other night and watched a lot of your fights back. It's just, for me, it's just a shame that you like fighting so much that you don't want to ever go on the ground and do jiu-jitsu because you just want to punch people all the time. Because, you know, there's a promising career there if you weren't so violent that you didn't want to defend a takedown because you were too busy punching people.
There is sports out there that you only punch in, though, Josh. You know that, yeah?
Yeah, it's tough. Like my career, I don't know, like I felt like I had more to give and like I still do. Yeah, it's just like a bit tough. Like, I don't know, I had like a couple good wins here and there, but I couldn't like string it together really. And I don't think I've really like been able to let loose in the cage properly. Like I've always been sort of wary. And it's been to my detriment, I think, like with my fights.
Yeah, and I think you and Jack are very similar in that if you're not motivated for the opponent that you're fighting, you don't get the performance that you would get. Like for me, Brandon Rapati is the hardest guy you've ever fought, the most dangerous guy you've ever fought, and you walk through.
Yeah.
And then someone like Dan Curry, who had no reason being in the cage with you, someone of your caliber.
And we had like a 3-round war where I almost lost. Yeah. It's weird.
So, yeah, it's just, I think Jack's the same way. Like Jack in some of his fights has told me afterwards that he just couldn't get up for it. So he puts out to him what is a mediocre performance, which is a good performance to most people. But you watch Jack in the fights that he's really motivated for, like the Kevin Gisay fight, the second Glenn Pettigrew fight. You know, that's the real Jack. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I best fought when like Brandon Rapati was like pretty much the only guy that I was like almost nervous to fight. Like, and I think maybe that pulled out like the best in me, because I was so like I was on edge, you know, like I thought he could take me out, and I didn't want to take any shots from him. So I sort of like got in there and did it. But like everyone else, I thought I was going to just beat him. And I think that was to my detriment.
Yeah, that Glenn fight was strange, because I mean, I rate Glenn. I do. I think Glenn's really good. But I think if you two fought in the gym, it would be a completely different outcome than what happened in the cage that night, 9 times out of 10. But, you know, it is what it is, you know. Like, that's, you know,
it goes on the night sometimes.
It's on the night. It's what happens on the night that is important. And
yeah.
But what is remarkable about your career is your first fight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Looking back to your first fight.
Well, you were there, Cam, weren't you?
No, I was there for the second fight. The Priscus.
The first fight was good. Like, that was a good experience. Like, Ben, we weren't really able to do any amateur fights, and we weren't able to fight for a bit. I had some things going on, so I had to, like, you know, attend to some things. And then Ben came up, and he had this, you know, this competition that we could go to in Tasmania and fight for a title and middleweight. And so, like, I was all over. I thought it was the best thing ever, you know. We're going to Tasmania to get into a fight. And like, I don't know, I didn't really know much about the opponents and whatnot. Like, I was new to the game. And we got over there, and I don't know, we were in the hotels and whatnot, and then into the gym, and then Ben said, we're like, so what are you doing here? And we're like, oh, we're having an MMA fight. Like, who are you fighting? And then every time that we'd say we're fighting Priscus, fucking old, like, they'd be like, oh, like they knew of this guy that was just like the MMA fighter from Tasmania, you know, that was just smashing everyone.
Was that just in random places? Was that just random?
Yeah, we went to a gym. We went to a gym to cut some weight, and they were like, oh, we're in a tournament with Priscus, Matt. And they went, oh, Priscus. And it was all like a bit like,
everyone was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah,
So I thought it was the best. I thought I was going to Tasmania to get it and smash the Tasmanian hero.
Well,
we pulled it. Like, it was a tournament, right? So it was 4. So it was 2 fights one night if you progressed. I think it was the first fight of the night. And we got Priscus on the weigh-ins. We got Priscus. And that was cool, because I thought, like, if we were going to get through it anyway, we were going to fight Priscus. So, like, it didn't faze me. And then, I don't know, we went in there, we were going to give it a crack. And, like, I thought I had a pretty good chance, to be honest. I don't know if that's crazy. But I thought I was going to hit him with some shit and it was going to be all over. But we got in there. I hit him with some shit. And he picked me up and threw me around, bashed me for a bit. And I think he subbed me in like the second round.
Yeah. You know what? It's there's a few things about that story that make it a bit more remarkable. In that, one was when we were in the venue, Ellen and came up to Josh. We were in a line. I think we were having medicals or something. And he came up to Josh and he was like, "Tire him out for me, yeah. Tire him out for me." And Josh was like, "Tire him out. I'm gonna fucking smash him." And, that was the belief. Like, that wasn't bravado. That was like, Josh believed that, you know. And that's what I've always known about Josh, is that he'll fight anybody. You know, he likes to fight, don't you? He like fighting. So, and then I thought that to get to the second round in your first MMA fight against Priscus, I mean, his game plan is quite straightforward. He's going to march you down, put you against the cage, throw you on the ground, and try and submit you, you know, squeeze your head until it falls off or pull your arms off. And, you know, he did really well. And
he only got me because it was like one of those vinyl sort of the cage, and I've tried to kick him and I've gone for like a big head kick and it's skimmed off the top of him and I've slipped and he's just pumped like on me. And obviously it was my first MMA fight. I'm throwing a head kick at Priscus. Like, obviously he's not the smartest, like, game plan.
Well, I don't
But,
know. A head kick at Friskers is like a body kick to most middleweights. Not taking anything away from Friskers' ability, but he's compared to you, he is a lot shorter.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you landed a couple of head kicks too. I remember it really well. You landed a head kick and then the angle changed slightly, so you were kind of sideways onto the cage, and you threw another one. Where you slipped, you sort of fell right next to the cage, which is
Right
the
next
worst
to it.
place to be with him.
Yeah.
He just ground you up into the cage, and then I think he got you in a. Was it a Kimura or did he guillotine you in the end?
No, he had me in the guillotine, but then it was like I rolled until he it was rear naked, I'm sure. Eh?
But either way, it was a pretty good performance.
It was like, yeah, it was fun, a good experience, eh? Like for my first fight.
Yeah,
It's never good going to a one loss on your pro fight, but I felt like, you know, I fought Priscus, like I felt all right about it, to be fair, eh? And I thought I could go and fight someone else and get some wins together.
Who did you fight next? I can't remember.
Matthew Williams.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Up on the Gold Coast, which was
Good.
It was the first time I had seen Josh fight. Obviously, there was no video of that Valor fight. I don't think it was recorded anywhere. I don't think there's any video of it. I'd never seen you striking, and you know, for a second fight, your striking looked pretty damn crisp. You know, I remember me and Dylan Andrews were sitting cage side, and we didn't really know anything about you, and walking into the cage, and the fight started, and we were like, "Whoa, yeah, second fight, fuck, he's snapping them out."
Both of you boys.
I was pretty loose that night. I was just there, I felt good. And I was nervous. I didn't know anything about Matt as well. And obviously he's covered in tats. So like, I was just ready to scrap, you know?
Yeah,
so
Matt's such a nice dude.
Matt's a legend. I like Matt. Like I see Matt, and like if I go to Melbourne, he'll have me at the gym, and he's been here, and like we had him at the gym. He's a real good dude. So
yeah,
it's amazing the places you bump into him as well. We bumped into him in
New Zealand.
He was obviously watching Callum, but yeah, such a nice guy. Such a
good dude.
Man, we would probably put him against any other second fight middleweight in Australia that night, and he most likely would have come away with his hand raised.
Yeah, he's got nice striking too, which is what made it a really good fight to watch.
Yeah, well, like he came and sparred, and like he beat the shit out of me, like in the gym. He was a big boy as well. Like he stacked on some weight, and we had like a decent scrap out of, you know, in the gym. So like this, you never know. Like it's that night thing, you know. And
yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
Goes in your favor, you're on point, you know, and you're ready to go. And sometimes you're not feeling it, and if they get that little edge, you know, they take it. That's the thing with MMA fights, isn't it?
How good is it that your mates afterwards, though, like you share something pretty special?
Yeah.
Like with
Pretty
someone
special.
you fight.
No one else in like real life really has that, do they? Like you haven't, you know, just gone to that point with someone else.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing afterwards to have that kinship and, you know, have shared that 15 minutes, whatever it was. So it's always been one of my favourite things about fighting. So we had Matt, and then was it Matt Ellen next in Perth? Is that where the King of Perth?
Ellen. That one I was pretty pumped. I was keen to scrap that one. I think I was made a fool of myself at the weigh-ins in that one.
There was a few.
I would have fought him at the weigh-ins. I was just keen to scrap on that one, I think.
The weigh-in photos got a few comments.
Yeah. I think I was getting a couple of names on Facebook and whatnot, but
it's fine if you go out and do the business the next night. You know, you look a bit of a twat if you don't.
I guess so.
And that's like it's so strange. He's a Matt as well, and Matt, he just had a baby actually a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah.
But he's one of the nice guys as well. Matt Ellens, you know, he's another real good guy.
I've seen him like running on an ad. Like he's on.
He's on. He's an actor and a stuntman.
Yeah, all right. Cool.
He was on like the Ladbrokes, I think it is UFC betting ads.
Oh yeah. I've seen him on a couple of different things. I think like running and shit. It's funny. Good on him.
Yeah, he's
How'd he get into stuntmanning?
What's that?
How do you get into stunt manning?
Because he was like, he works like, what's his name? Cormier's mate from ATA, the big actor, Luke Rockhold. Because him and Luke Rockhold have been seen just think the guy that's too good looking for the rest of us, you know, and he's pretty athletic, so he's getting the gig. So
yeah, I don't get many of them gigs.
you might have beat him in the cage, Josh, but he's matching man of the month.
What was I going to say? Yeah, that was the fight after. That's where the King of Perth came about, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when I made my fool of myself on the mic. That was Mitch Tinley. He said, "This is your opportunity." He said something to me, and I'm just like, being a fucking ticket. That's all right, man.
It was good. It stuck. It was
I was just pumped. I like, at that point, I just loved fighting, you know. Like, I loved it. And I loved all that shit. I was real into it.
I loved the old intro to the podcast where we had that shouting out. We need to bring that back for this podcast. We definitely need that one.
Get rid of that. We'll get Jack saying something.
Yeah, Jack. Let's talk a little bit about your brother. So obviously, for those that don't know, Josh is Jack's brother. So what's it like being sort of so close to your brother's career? Is it cool to see him like doing what he's doing, or
yeah,
does it make you think, I wish it was?
Yeah, Jack's like not only is he the most like talented guy in the room, he's the most hardworking guy like you've ever seen. He doesn't stop working. Like when I was living with Jack, I would get up for work at like 6 o'clock in the morning, go to drive to work, and Jack would already be up. He'd already be like sweating. He'd already be, you know, an hour into his day and his workouts, and like I would just feel like the biggest dickhead walking to work, seeing him like working, you know, like he just works. And then in the afternoon, he'll be working all afternoon. He'll go through his runs. He's the most hardworking person I've like ever seen. And obviously he's my brother, so I see more, like see shit that people don't see. But then he's also one of those guys that anything that he would have done, he would have been good at. Like naturally, he'd pick up a ball, pick up, you know, a golf club, go skiing, surfing, like anything he does, he just is naturally talented at it. He's got those natural abilities, like he's an athlete. Anything he did, he set his mind to, he was going to do in physical stuff. And obviously what other stuff as well, but like he's an athlete, you know, he's a supreme, like you see him working, you understand it. Like I don't think anyone, obviously people have seen the fights and he's obviously smashed some people, but I think everyone's in for it, you know, like it's exciting for him, and it's exciting that he gets to show off like his talents.
Yeah.
He hasn't really scratched the surface yet either.
Nah.
Like, he's only 23. That's what everyone forgets. Like he's 23 years old. And so he's not in his physical prime yet. And we're still learning. I'm still teaching him loads and loads of stuff every week. You know, like it's not like he's the finished product. Like
nah.
That most of that is his raw ability and a few basics that we've put into him. Like he's at the moment, because we've had a big gap with no fights in our gym, because we've got so many fighters, we just go fight camp to fight camp, and we never really get that long time to develop. So since COVID, we've had all this time with no fights, and my boys are still 11 weeks away from their fight. So we're still in developmental phase at the moment. We haven't even started our fight camp. So we're adding so many strings to everyone's bows at the moment in the gym. But Jack's going to be like
he's leveling up. You can see it. He just levels up every day, and he's smart. He's not just like one of these guys that just, this is what I do and this is like how I'm doing it. He's open to new techniques and learning, and he's smart with what he's doing. He'll practice it. Like it's not like he will show him a technique and then he'll fuck it off. He'll actually practice it and he'll be doing it, you know, and then we'll be doing it, you know. And it's just like he's learning every day and just progressing every day. It's exciting. It's really exciting to see him, you know.
And we've got Marcus McKeever in the gym now. So
yeah,
you know, in terms of no-gi grappling in Western Australia, there's not too many better.
Top notch.
So Macca's working with that. Macca's always worked with Jack, but we've got that more consistent contact now with someone like Macca, whose jiu-jitsu game is so well. So it was designed for MMA. So, so yeah, you're going to see like a whole new Jack post-COVID. Like,
not even for leg locks instead of throwing right hooks.
no, he likes, like, everyone sees like humble Jack, but there's a streak in him. Like, he's got the required angry streak to be a top level fighter. Like, if he gets the opportunity to knock your head off, he's going to take it without blinking an eye, and he's not going to feel so bad for it.
No.
In fact, he's gonna be smiling from
enjoy it
on the inside.
Yeah, look, it's definitely from watching him, it's an exciting time for him. And I think when you keep reminding us Jack's age, it's real talent. You know,
but Josh isn't done yet. He's 25.
25.
You know what I mean?
Wait till my kids go to school, I'll be back.
I think when
he's only 25.
When you point it out, though, I don't think I don't think you've took enough of the correlation between how hard Jack works and how good he is. Yeah, he's got talent, but it's only grown exponentially because of the amount of work that he puts in.
It's extremely rare that people with as much talent as that want to work hard, because they don't need to. They can still beat everyone anyway.
Well, Jack, that's the thing. Jack could get away with like not doing all this extra shit that no one sees, but like he doesn't. He's doing it, you know. And like, yeah, it's like you see him working. You can't. He's on another level, really.
It's exciting. It's really exciting.
It's exciting.
And he sort of he drags everyone with him. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he sits on a pedestal and like, yeah, I'm the man. Like, he's bringing everyone. The level in the gym's going up because of Jack. Because everyone's like seeing what he can achieve, and you know, there's other talented people in our gym that haven't come to the fore yet. That they're about to make.
Yeah, we've got a solid little gym. It's from the community that's been obviously the foundations of it that you've built. But like our gym, we've got like the range from like the ultimate beginner, and he's only an ultimate beginner for 1 week. If he does enough classes, then the next week he's one of the guys. And then there's the next beginner, and then there's all the pros that are mixing it in the same classes that the ultimate beginners in. So it's like
everyone gets treated any different. Like, there's one level in the gym and everyone's on it. Like, there's no different treatment, and there's no special classes for, like, even in the pro MMA class, I let anyone come. You could have only done 1 week's training, but you just got to understand that if I've got guys looking to fight and stuff like that, you're going to be ignored. I'm going to set you up with stuff to do, and I'm going to leave you alone because I'm going to focus on the boys that are fighting. But you're welcome to be there, be around it, like let it pick you up. And the boys are good enough that if someone is there who's not the best, they're not going to bash the fuck out of them. They're not achieving anything by doing that. So they're going to coach them along. It's really nice to see. Sometimes I just stand back and look at it and go, I don't really need to be here. It's kind of policing itself, and the self-policing environment.
What's what I say before? Every time we spar, I say like, no dickheads, like everyone, like 50% sparring. I say it every time, but I'm like, why am I saying that? I say it to the same guys. They're all legends anyway. They all help each other out. No one, you say, don't bash the beginner. Like, if there's a beginner, go easy on them. You don't need to say that. Everyone's pretty chilled. Like, no one is bashing any beginners or like being a dick.
Only you.
Apart from me. But yeah, you get that. There's got to be one dickhead in the class.
One thing that I've noticed more recently is the development of like the second corner team. The fact that you're getting to step away from the corner with amateurs these days, Ben, and Josh and Ryan are, they're the two, Josh, Ryan and Stacey actually, it is quite a lot of the time.
Stacey takes an active. Well, the thing with Ryan is he's so good. Like, he's been pretty much coming up alongside me for 10 years nearly now. And we've always, ever since me and Ryan have always known that he's going to take over from me one day. Like, it's never been said necessarily, but it's just kind of always been sort of known. So he's like been in my shadow, but now he's starting to come out of my shadow, I feel. And, he doesn't need me. He just needs confidence now, like the ability and he's an amazing coach. And what
Ryan is like an incredible coach. Like when you see Ryan taking like his beginner MMA class, you see like how engaged all these kids are, like all these beginner like MMA guys that are doing MMA. It's like a little hobby and get fit. Like you just see, and he teaches them correct techniques, and you see how intense he is. Like it's good to see. Like, and then obviously he can train the best professional. Like you'd put him as your professional MMA coach as well. Like he's got a good thing happening at the moment.
Yeah, it's a massive handy for me on promotion nights where Ryan takes care of all the amateurs and makes sure that they're all ready, warmed up and good to go and feeling good. And then it leaves me to deal with the show and the pros.
Yeah.
But, you know, I firmly believe that I probably don't need to be here. You know, Ryan could, between Ryan and Josh and the rest of the team, they'd be fine. I want to be there and I plan to be there for as long as I can, forever. But I feel fully faithful that should I not be able to, the team's in amazing hands, and you wouldn't notice any difference. You know, so
Ryan and Josh have got a good mix to bring to the corner as well. I mean, Ryan's technical abilities kind of rain-manish in certain ways, and he's got the experience. He's calm, and he's got a fantastic voice in the corner as well. You know. He speaks at a pace and at a tone and says little enough, but more than enough that people can pick up. Whereas Josh is, you know, brings the mongrel out in them and is a bit of the cheerleader from the corner, and he's the other voice that's a little bit louder.
Yeah, no, definitely.
More motivational rather than positional or tactical.
No, definitely. You'd have that right.
But you could do the technical role as well if you wanted to, but it's just a good synergy to have in your corner. So, yeah. Now, the gym's a good place.
Hands tight.
It's like, it's good. Phase 2, it's really phase 2 of Scrappy MMA / the MMA clinic now. So we've gone through our infancy, you know, we're almost 10 years old. So now we're getting all the guys that started 10 years ago are now instructor level, pro fighters, champions, you know. It's nice to see that we've all grown up together. It's been a really cool journey, actually. I've never actually really thought about it like that before until now. But
it's been 10 years since you came over here.
Pretty much, yeah. I think November.
Fucking aged them.
Oh,
no. Yeah, you fuckers. They don't do as they're told, you see. That's a shout. That's why I'm grumpy all the time.
I've got to say, Ryan's haircut's better than yours these days.
Hey?
Ryan's haircut's better than yours these days.
Hey, with that slug.
I hope you don't pay for that, man. Hey, that's a home job.
I'm having it done in installments, so this was the first part. When I can afford to have the rest of it cut off, I will. How are you sat there with that slug on your top lip giving me shit about my hair?
Right. Up there looking it up.
You're like a schnauzer, mate.
Magnum PI.
He's a schnauzer.
How come Josh hasn't got a hoodie?
Hey?
How come Josh hasn't got a hoodie?
I know, I've got my...
No, I'm going
to put a beanie on, but it's not cold enough.
How come you don't have a scrappy MMA one?
I know. Ben's got to give me one. I've got to try and weasel my way into getting one.
I never see you to give you gifts. We sort of do opposite nights, don't we? So I'm normally in Tuesday, Thursday late, and Josh is in
Monday, Wednesday.
So we don't really cross over. So that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, I'll take that for now, mate. I'll come see you Friday or so.
Yeah. Before we wrap it up, Josh, give us your best. Obviously, you've had, of your 6 fights, you've had 5 of them on Eternal. What's been your favourite Eternal experience? You've also travelled a lot with Jack on Eternal, so you've been around it.
My favourite Eternal experience? That's a good one. You know, like one that stands out in my head, one of the MMA fights, the Eternal MMA fights, was the first fight between Jack and Glenn
Oh, that weekend was awesome, wasn't it?
Because it was at the it was the Mansfield Tavern, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
That was just a cool venue. I liked that. It was this little hothouse venue. This is an old school sort of, I don't know, I liked it. And it was like out the back, you warmed up. I don't know, for some reason it had a good vibe. And for some, that stands out of my head because that was the night Ryan Gray fought Garrett Gross.
Oh.
And that was a brutal one. Like, that was a brutal knockout. And I remember like Ryan, it was just a time in Ryan, like Ryan was down on himself for a bit and he got up for this fight. I don't know. And it was a tough one for him. He was nervous about it. And like the knockout was just so epic that I was so stoked for Ryan. Like, it was an epic knockout. Felt like, obviously Gross was a bit in a bad way, but like, I don't know, I felt amazing for Ryan because he, you know, sort of fought his demons a bit, I don't know, in a weird way. Like,
yeah. Well, they were due to fight. They were due to fight a few weeks before, and Ryan got the shit on the day of the fight. So he weighed in and everything. It was the fight day, and he was down on himself about that big time. But we went on, when he was being sick all day and that. We went to the doctors. We got nausea injections. We got wafers. He tried everything. He was going to fight, and we went right across to the car park on the other side of that AFL oval to do some pads, just to see if he could. And we done about 30 seconds on the pads, and he couldn't do it. And I was like, mate, I'm just going to pull you from the fight. You're not going in there like that. We can't do it. So.
Well, that's probably like, that's why I remember it, because he was so down on himself, obviously, from that. Like, just not being able to, like, because Ryan's the sort of guy, like, you know, how you know, he would have felt so shit for that.
He's emotional.
He's real emotional dude, and it would have hit him real hard for like a good couple of weeks, or like it would have, you know. So like seeing him just like, you know, fight through that shit. It's more than just the physical fight at the end of the day, you know. It's all the other shit that you can deal with that gets you to the cage, and that was a pretty good moment.
It was a good weekend. We had your family over there as well.
We went through Nimbin after.
Yeah, you went to Nimbin.
We're cruising Nimbin. Where's that fight in Gold Coast? Me, Mum, and Jack and Michelle drove to Nimbin. Fucking cruised around.
Jack had his belt on.
Jack had his belt on. Had a massive joint. It's really good.
That's his favourite eternal weekend.
That is that.
Yeah, memorable moment. There you
I think
go.
Rui was there. Big Rui was there as well.
Rui was there as well. Rui, like, that's a good. He's like our fight mascot. Like, it's always a good fight, a good weekend if we got Rui around.
I was going to say that. Any eternal memory with Rui is a good one.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, we had he come over for Cage Warriors as well when Jack fought on Cage Warriors.
Oh wow!
So I was with Rui for a week. It was hilarious. It was so funny. He was my roommate for a week. It was fucking hilarious. It was one of the funniest weeks of my life.
Yeah, he was good in Adelaide as well. Come down to Adelaide, out backstage, and
the big fella. He's a good guy.
But even that Melbourne fight was pretty cool. Like that, I liked the Melbourne card. That was cool.
Yeah. We
fight, like, Jack and Kevin. That was a sick fight. Like, that was like, Kevin really brought it, you know, and he was a tough dude, and like he backed himself in to like beat Jack, and that was just a good scrap.
Yeah, always mates were at the ends trying to put money on him winning. I'm like, man, there's no betting.
It was a good fight, but Kevin was never really in it. You know what I mean? He was just
he wasn't in it.
His durability
was tough. You know, I don't know. It was like
unbelievably tough, like ridiculous. Like, some of the punches he took were so clean, and he just kept getting up.
Yeah, especially the body shots he was taking. Some of the body shots he was taking. But then
tough. Like Kev's got a very bright future in the sport.
Yeah.
Sweetest judo pro I think I've seen in Australian MMA.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The fortunate thing was we knew it was going to happen, and we trained for it. So Jack got straight back up. The problem with judo, you don't need to keep downward pressure. You just got to put their back on the ground, and then you're done.
Well, it's all about the momentum of it.
Yeah, so we knew that
with the momentum.
If we just carried on with the momentum, Jack would end up creating a scramble and getting back to his feet.
Exactly what happened.
but again, Jack had to perform that, and that is true Jack. Like, he listens, he takes it on board, and it happened, and he did it, you know. So, you know.
But that was an interesting weekend all round, actually. You know, there was an epic UFC the next day as well.
Oh yeah, the UFC 247 or whatever, the world record for. Yeah, it's a good weekend. We've had, you know, the great thing about this sport is you travel around with your mates and get into fights and
get pet dogs. We got a pet dog as well.
Yeah, we had a dog.
What, a dog that could open the doors.
The dog.
But, you know, what other job do you get to do that? Do you know what I mean? It's like travel around with your mate.
I'm pretty grateful for you guys. Like, you've given us some good opportunities to the eternal stuff, and you're giving opportunities to amateurs, flying amateurs. I saw that post you're trying to get amateurs on the Gold Coast card or whatever you're doing. So,
and I was just looking for, Queensland-based people, obviously, with all the COVID shit just now.
Yeah. Well, you can't really fly them at the moment, can you?
Well, even if we do match them from places they can travel from just now, it might just end up in disappointment. You know, so I'd rather try and match them locally if possible. The people that we've already matched interstate, you know, we're honouring. We've obviously got to just hope that we get to the night with them still on the card. But there's no point in risking losing any other fights and disappointing people by matching up people interstate when we don't know if we can promise what we're telling them.
Yeah,
it's tricky. It's tricky at the moment, but.
Well, it's tricky at the moment, but I mean, just in general, like, Eternal's always pretty good with amateurs. Like, I know you guys fly amateurs around. Like, if it's a match permitting, you know, a good match, like, Eternal's always pretty good like that. So, there's a credit to you guys.
It's the only way we can support our model. I mean, we're obviously still running the Pro-Am model. We've extended the Pro section. You know, we usually have maybe between 1 and 4 pro fights, depending on how we went with injuries and pull-outs, but we're matching every card just now with a minimum of 6 pro fights. I'm not saying we'll get to the night with 6 pro fights, but you know, the only way that we can make that work is by having the amateur section of the card as well, obviously helping with, not only helping with the costs, but also with helping with developing the talent to fill the pro spots further down the line as well. Because Ben points out all the time, you know, the pros that we've got fighting in the top end of the card, we don't want them to stay there. We want them to be going on to bigger and better things internationally. And, you know, we want the talent to come through.
Conveyor belt. We just want you go through Eternal, come the champ, go to the UFC, then the next one, and the next one. We want to make this conveyor belt of all the best guys getting where they should be getting to. That's the plan, anyway.
Which is showing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I think we would have already signed a couple of guys to the UFC were it not for the COVID situation. So I'm looking forward to breaking that sort of barrier that I see, that we haven't yet established that link. And once we put the first person there, I think it's because they'll go there and they'll do well. They won't look out of place there. So.
Well, we could have done it quicker with higher volume for a shorter period of time earlier by utilising a different model. But as it's been proved in Australia, that model doesn't work, you know, nationally and financially, and they burn out and they disappear. We've built a framework and a model that we think is sustainable to provide that conveyor belt. And as Ben says, give them the right amount of fights through amateur and professional, so that by the time they get there, they're ready, you know, they're prepared for every aspect of fighting at that level.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be, once everything sort of normalises, it's going to be exciting. We're going to push this sport. We're going to see, like, things are going to the next level. Everyone's levelling up. Yeah. Everywhere I look, everyone's levelling up.
Do you have a restriction on gate for the Eternal at the Gold Coast one that you're doing? Like, what's the deal with that?
We're still working on that. At the moment, there's the ability to apply for exemptions, which can change the number of people you're allowed in a venue. Other than that, we're having to go by the 4 square metre rule, so 1 person per 4 square metres. So that's at the moment, but we're 8 weeks away from the event, and as we've seen, anything can happen. I think most governments really want to kickstart the economies in each state when it's safe and sensible to do so. So I think as soon as, you know, we maybe even decrease it to 1 in every 2 square metres as soon as possible. as Ben was saying on the phone the other night, you know, they've got stadiums out Western Australia that have got, what, 20,000 in them?
30,000 heading to the Eagles Dockers match this week.
I think Queensland's doing all right. It's just like,
yeah, we're doing a lot better than a couple of other states in Australia.
Thou shall not be named.
They're too dirty. Don't justify their names.
Mexico's struggling. We've got border control here tightened up in Queensland, and you know they're doing their best to restrict people that have been in dangerous areas or highly contagious areas or whatever they want to call, say, from coming into Queensland. And we're only getting 1 or 2 cases, but as you know, the issue is most of the fighters, because we have so many events and so many fights to match, we're bringing people from New South Wales, Melbourne, ACT, and South Australia and West.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Well, Josh, I suppose you don't have anyone you want to thank or anything like that. So, do you want to give people your Facebook, Della Brothers, or whatever, or you just have
like you can hit us up on Della Brothers, Della Brothers MMA. I think it's on Facebook. It's like a page. Hit me up for PTs if you're in Perth. You want to do some shit, I don't mind. And then Instagram, just Josh Della. That's it. There's nothing exciting there, really. It's just me and my kids, basically.
When are you back then? When the kids are at school, how long have we got left?
Alira's 3, so it's next year, all that sort of thing kicks off for Alira. Bridget's going a bit nuts with both the kids crawling all over her, so she will be very excited for school, I think. But then she won't. When it gets down to it, she'll be very upset.
Yeah, you can't win, mate, with these women.
You can't win with these girls.
Easy. Well, good to talk to you, Josh.
Good to see you, Cam. I'll see you soon. Hopefully at a fight show, an eternal fight show.
You've inspired me into shaving with your cruel jive.
No. Leave it.
That's why he's the King of Perth, mate.
He's a brilliant.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers, Joshy.
See you.